Decree over Mandate. October 18, 2019 by Anna von Reitz. When we established the constitutions, federal, territorial, and municipal, we delegated some of our established powers to be exercised for us by others. So, naturally, there had to be a delegator of these powers and there had to be stipulated delegatees receiving and exercising these powers in our behalf. As the preambles of the constitutions clearly state, the delegation is made by the people of this country. The people are defined as the state citizens and their state governments. The state governments in turn function together in international jurisdiction through their unincorporated federation of states, doing business as the United States of America. The United States of America is a holding company, and what it holds are all the rights and prerogatives of the sovereign states that they exercise in common in international and global jurisdiction. Thus, the United States of America is the delegator of the powers shared out under the constitutions. Who are the delegatees? The first Constitution, 1787, called the Federal Constitution and/or Original Equity Contract, delegates powers to the Confederation of States formed March 1, 1781 and doing business as the States of America. The powers assigned ran a gamut of responsibilities related to international business affairs, law enforcement, military operations, tax collection, and oversight. The Second Constitution, 1789, called the Territorial Constitution delegates powers to the British Territorial United States government to exercise for us in the international jurisdiction of the sea. The powers assigned relate largely to naval operations and international tariffs and trade policies. The Third Constitution, 1790, called the Municipal Constitution delegates powers to the Pope's municipal, city-state government to exercise for us in the global jurisdiction of the air. The powers assigned relate to postal service, patents, trademarks, and similar functions. So, Delegator, the United States of America, our unincorporated federation of states. Delegatees, 1. The Confederation of States formed March 1, 1781 doing business as the States of America, which has been inoperative since 1860. 2. The British Territorial United States Government, a British Commonwealth government doing business under our name as the United States of America. 3. The Pontiff's Roman Municipal Government doing business under our name as the United States. When the States of America Confederation ceased operations, the delegated powers assigned to it immediately reverted to the delegator, the United States of America, but, conveniently, nobody told us what was going on in the chaos and confusion after the Civil War. The Grand Army of the Republic came in and began administrating everything under Admiralty Law on the sea and General Order 100, the Lieber Code, on the land, pending the reconstruction of the States of America organization. And that is where it has remained, in limbo, for over 150 years, waiting for the reconstruction to be completed. Because we were operating in this offbeat fashion and other countries had to interact with us, they began operating in the same way. The Hague Conventions and the Geneva Conventions were adopted to facilitate this new organizational scheme in which countries were presumed to be occupied by armed forces awaiting the return of civilian government. The perpetrators of this circumstance, generals and admirals who benefited from the exercise of political power not vouchsafed to them, and foreign governments that gained economic advantages by preying upon people and the assets belonging to the people of each country began a conspiracy of silence and collusion and formatted their operations through commercial corporations. The central banks were established to expedite this process and various institutionalized fraud schemes were set up to make harvesting the value of our labor and other resources efficient. These have included the IRS, Internal Revenue Service, the fraudulent land title schemes, the bogus foreclosures, the conscription via military drafts and uniformed officers' codes, the dead baby scam, and many more automated schemes controlled by patents and trademarks and other control systems. And they are all kaput as of the 14th of October 2019. We pulled the plug and issued our decree over mandate on that day. So what is a decree over mandate? Each constitution creates a public mandate that granted sweeping powers to each of the delegatees, all to be exercised under conditions of strictest international treaty and trust obligation. Such a mandate is very powerful in keeping with the extensive powers granted, but it remains subject to decree by the delegator, the United States of America, unincorporated. The United States of America, our unincorporated federation of states, summoned the states of the Union to assemble and has overcome the obstacles placed in the way of Americans seeking to exercise their lawful authority. A majority of properly constituted states have now assembled, and the United States of America has issued a decree over mandate ordering relief and directing the financial affairs of the country for the first time since the Civil War. The first order of business beyond declaring the proper authority has been to bust the physical human trafficking and pedophile rings operating in our formerly defenseless international land jurisdiction. The second order of business has been to set our financial affairs in order, locate and organize our assets, and declare all these foreign corporations bankrupt and subject to the primary creditors, the people of this country and every other country on earth. The third order of business is to begin the process of securing remedy and relief for all those who have been enslaved, specifically, an end to the false claims of debt, protective asset seizures, phony loans and mortgages, forced registration of assets and similar usurpation and oppression carried out against the living people of this country and this planet. We have also nipped all threats of civil war in the bud. Both the territorial and municipal corporations are ultimately under the Pope's control and ownership, and he cannot fight against himself. So we no longer have to put up with that threat and all the associated garbage. We know who is accountable and we will hold them accountable. This action, made possible by the tireless efforts of the American States Assembly organizers, marks the onset of the re-venue of all physical assets to the possession of living people, the end of corporate feudalism, and the end of martial law being imposed on civilians in this country. The reconstruction necessary to restore our fully functioning federal government will not be far behind. If you have not yet declared your proper political status and stepped forward to serve your country, go to www.theamericanstatesassembly.net. A complete JPEG copy of the decree over mandate is now published and available, or soon will be, at www.theamericanstatesassembly.net and www.annavonreitz.com websites.